Wouldn't it be fun? But also a little scary. We're gonna do this. We're gonna paint our feelings today. This video is sponsored by BetterHelp. More on that later. Real talk. I have never been one to paint my feelings. I tend to like to control everything. I want to control the outcome of my painting. I'm really careful what I choose to paint. I'm really careful about trying to compose a subject that will be pleasing in the end. And this idea of painting your feelings scares me a little bit. I'm genuinely intimidated, but at the same time, I think it's going to be really liberating and also kind of awesome. So, me and my husband just had a little fight today, and you know how it is. It's always about the dumbest stuff, but it can really just get your blood boiling. All of your emotions are just kind of going, and so today I thought, wouldn't it be kind of cathartic if I just sat down with absolutely zero expectations of what the outcome would be and got out all of my weirdest brushes, all the ones that I just rarely use because they're kind of specialty brushes or I never reach for them, and let them shine today. Just gave them a go and use all the colors in my palette or whichever colors speak to me at the moment. We're going to do this. We're going to paint our feelings today. There's a free download in the description below for several free line drawings that will create a launching point for you. You can trace them onto your watercolor paper if you feel like you need something to start with. I definitely feel like I need something to kind of color in or fill in before I start. Just a blank piece of paper is kind of intimidating. So what I did was I sketched my head just from a photo of mine. I sketched my head and I'm going to fill it in. And I don't know what's going to end up being in my head, but right now there's a lot going on. So we're going to get all our emotions out there with all these weird brushes and just have fun. And maybe you're a seasoned pro at this. Maybe you're the kind of person who's like, oh yeah, I do this all the time. It's so cathartic. It helps me process. Good for you. I am one of those who's kind of out of touch with my emotions, to be perfectly honest. Or I just won't let myself feel them and they kind of bottle up inside and then I explode. My thought process behind that, I guess, is nobody wants to see the ugly side of me. No one wants to see the sad, the hurt, the angry, the anxious, the frustrated. So I kind of just hide it all away. Then it comes out all at once, which is also really not healthy. So I'm going to start with a spray bottle. Yeah. Just gonna go for it. I'm gonna cover my paper with some water. I'm gonna let it puddle. It's just a ton of water. This is something I don't usually do. I don't usually start with just tons of water and let it puddle and pool and run all over the place because that's a little bit scary. But right now, I kind of feel like my feelings are doing this. They're just all over the place. I can't seem to harness them. I don't really know what I'm feeling. Red is the color of anger, frustration, also passion. I'm going to take some red and my biggest brush that I have here. And I'm just going to let that come to the surface, come to the top. Humans are complicated. We are kind of a mixed bag of messages, emotions, feelings. And sometimes we don't let those feelings take their true form. There's a really great book I read called Talking to Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell. If you've never heard of Malcolm Gladwell, oh my goodness, he's amazing. This is kind of fun. Malcolm Gladwell wrote Talking to Strangers, and he basically says in the end that we have no way of knowing what anyone else is thinking or feeling because emotional expression comes out in all different ways. Someone's root emotion might be sadness or hurt or shame or devastation, and it comes out as aggression. And so the person looking at that would think, well, this person is clearly angry, but it might not be anger at all. And so it's so easy to misread someone's feelings. Speaking of feelings, if you've never had a chance to talk about your feelings with someone who is safe, who cares, I should say the best way to do that is with therapy. You can definitely make paintings like this and just vomit your colors all over the page. But there's no replacing actually talking to a human about what you're going through. And my favorite way to do that is with therapy. So the sponsor of today's video is actually BetterHelp. And maybe like me, you struggle with your emotions. You struggle to figure out how to talk about your emotions, how to even have a vocabulary to get them out there to the world. Maybe you just have no idea what the cause of all these feelings is, or even how to describe the feelings that you're having. That's what therapy's for. So BetterHelp can actually connect you with a licensed therapist who's trained to listen and to give you really helpful advice that's objective. You can do it in the comfort of your own home using your phone. You can use video chat, messaging, or phone call, whatever works the best for you. Maybe you struggle with negative self-talk. A licensed therapist can help you work through that and actually be the voice of a friend, someone who will speak kindly to you the way that you can learn to speak to yourself. You can use my link, betterhelp.com/artbyemily, for a discount off your first month with BetterHelp. There's a small questionnaire to fill out, and BetterHelp will get you connected with a therapist, usually within 48 hours. They're really quick to match you with somebody. So maybe you're painting your emotions. Maybe you have no idea where to begin with processing hurt or trauma or whatever it is that you're struggling with. BetterHelp can connect you to a therapist today. Let them get you the support that you need. I've got the anger, kind of came out today. You can see I'm a little bit reserved here. I'm not gonna lie, this is hard. This is hard for me. I'm gonna switch brushes. Maybe we just need some different texture now. My tendency is to look at this and to want to paint streaks of hair and shadows in the skin to go with realism. It's so hard for me to escape that realism idea. And we're not going for that today. No, we're going for emotion and for feeling. And for someone who's not connected with their emotions most of the time, that is just really, really difficult for me. So I'm going to try something here now. Maybe some more shapes to kind of show a little bit of the chaos that can happen in a mind, although we sort of compartmentalize, don't we? So I'm going to put you know what this looks like to me? It's almost a forest. I know some people who are really, really good at this, who just have this innate ability to sketch what they're feeling. I've always struggled with this. Let's try a different brush. Probably a different brush will help. You know, another reason I grabbed all of these varieties of brushes was because I thought, just like social media, we kind of tend to just show our best selves, right? The things we're most comfortable with, the areas of our life that are most put together. But I have all these brushes which can represent all of these sides of me that are kind of weird, kind of misshapen, not fully developed yet, maybe out of practice. I don't like to show those. And I don't like to use brushes I'm not familiar with. We're going to do that now. And this is turning out pretty weird. Yeah, it's not a pretty painting. It's not supposed to be. How about we do some more solid masses of color? I think that's what it needs. How about getting some spatters here. I think I need a solid mass of blue somewhere to show that the world outside of me is the same. It's not experiencing the emotions that I am. In fact, it's pretty placid, pretty stable. The world outside of me just keeps going, regardless of me. It doesn't need me. Perhaps this is my attempt to impose some force, some change, some movement, and something new and creative and unique into the world. But there's no guarantee that what I try to leave behind will have a lasting impact. But knowing myself, even if I knew that everything I've done in my life would be eventually lost to history, that would motivate me no less. I would still try to make a change. for the better. And I think that's why these emotional outbursts are so frustrating, because I feel so out of control and like it's going against everything I want to do with my life and all the good things I want to change in the world. I think I need some more green. This is completely out of my element, completely different from what I'm used to. Now that I've just kind of let go, I think initially, even at the beginning, I was like, there needs to be a good outcome, even though I said, don't worry about the outcome. Now that I've kind of let that go, I am actually having fun. There's some tension and some nervous energy when you try something new for the first time. And it takes a minute for that to wear off. And I'm still kind of following the contours of the lines that I drew, but that's okay. I've always been like that. I've always been the girl who had to color inside of the lines. So maybe on this side, get a little crazy and get outside of those lines. Is this what it's like to process your feelings through paint? Am I doing it right? I don't know. There's no right, no wrong. More red. Breaking all the rules of watercolor and doing wet on wet blossoms and blooms and craziness. And making mud with my colors. Glorious, beautiful mud. I think I need violet. And I just love the look of outlining sometimes. I've made a great old mess here on my paper, haven't I? I'm fighting the urge to try to make myself prettier. Look more like a magazine model. Don't do it, Emily. That's not who you are. I always wanted to be, of course. I think most little girls want that. They look at the magazines and think, that's the ideal, that's perfection. And then they grow up and they realize that's actually not reality. An impossible standard you will never live up to. And yet someone who's motivated by perfectionist standards the way I am will struggle with that her whole life. Are you one of those? If you are, I see you. We haven't used the fan brush yet, the weirdest of them all. If you haven't yet seen my video about painting with a fan brush, I do an entire painting just using this brush. It was a great experiment, we'll say that. I will probably never do it again. I mean, this thing is a little bit unwieldy, not gonna lie. Well, I started this painting feeling angry, and now I kind of feel empowered. Like there's something awesome inside of me radiating into the world, and I hope that's true. I think, painting your feelings can end up being anything. It can end up being starting out as something where you're just trying to emote onto the page, and then it can end up kind of like this, where it's like this, I don't know, inner goddess that you sort of imagine yourself as comes out. And that can be awesome too, but the insecure part in me is like, I don't think I did this right. Did I do this right? I think I need more red over here. Just a reminder of those deep emotions that began this painting. But I've definitely calmed down. Regardless of the outcome, did you do it? Did you paint your feelings? I think the outcome was completely unexpected, and that's what I was hoping for. Altogether, a really lovely and, yes, cathartic experience. Be sure to check out my downloads for some launching points for you to paint your own feelings painting. It doesn't have to be a portrait. It can be anything. It could be a landscape. It could be just shapes. It could be just brush strokes. If you feel like you need more space, you just want to throw paint around, go for it. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. So it's definitely a different one for me. I might have to do this more often. I'll see you again soon.